Hello and thank you for joining me. So today I'm going to make a start on the Christmas cards. So I've pulled a magazine that I've recently purchased, which is Die Cutting Essentials issue 133, which comes with a very nice die set by Lisa Horton, and I thought I'd use that today. So I'm going to try and use the Merry and Bright and the light strips. So I have a card blank that I made up for another project that I didn't like the colours together, so I thought I would use that. So that's this, and this is a 5 3/4 inch square card in dark blue Lidl cardstock with the light blue Lidl cardstock layered on top, which is 1/4 inch smaller. So I'm going to use that today. I've got some paper scraps out initially, and I thought I would cut the Merry and Bright from that and colour it with my alcohol markers. So I'm going to have a play with that. But then I thought I'm going to use some of my existing supplies because I've got a lot of Christmas stuff that it gets used once a year, obviously. So I thought I'd try and eat into that. So I've got this pack, which is a very old works pad, but the colours are good for this card blank. So I thought I'd keep my 12 by 12 paper pads in 12 by 12 polypropylene record sleeves, because then I don't lose all the bits. I've got the bits in the back. So I've got this piece which goes quite nicely on the front. I thought I'd use that as a matte layer and maybe cut the Merry and Bright in white and put it on the top. So I'm going to have a play with some examples. I'll get some stuff cut out and then I'll come back and we'll have a look at it together. So I've cut the Merry and Bright in white, and the plan was to put it on this piece of patterned cardstock from the works pad, but I think it gets a little bit lost. It looks better on camera than it does in person. I think because the pattern is quite large and white, it gets lost. So what I thought was, this is approximately 3.5 inches wide. I found another piece of the dark pattern which is bigger, that's 4.5 across. I'm going to cut the 4.5 inch square to mat and layer onto here, and then I thought I would cut a 4 inch or maybe even a 3 7/8 of an inch matte layer on there, and then cut the Merry and Bright out of the pattern. So I'm going to give that a go and come back and we'll have a look. So I am glad that I remeasured that, because that is 4 3/4 across 4.5. So I've cut that to 4 3/4 square. So I think I'd like 1/4 inch border all the way around this so that you can see some of the pattern. So I'm going to cut the light blue at 4 1/4. So this is how it's going to look. This isn't attached yet. So this is 4 3/4 square. This is 4 1/4 square. So that will mat and layer on there, and will sit on the front of the card here. I'm now going to cut the Merry and Bright from this dark piece and put that on the front just to see what it looks like. I might change my mind and go for something coloured. I don't like the white on it. I'll find something else and come back. I don't like it in that either, so I think I'm going to get some silver and I'm going to cut it in that, and then I'm going to cut the light thread from silver also, and I'm going to cut some of these. I think I'll cut some of these from silver scraps, and then we'll cut some colours for the bulbs, and we'll make those up. I'm going to, before I do any of that, I'm going to attach this together and get it attached to the front of the card, because moving about is skewing how I look at it. So I'm going to get those attached. Okay, so I have popped my layer of patterned card from the work set on the card front, and I'm going to go for a top fold. So that's drying. I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to cut the Merry and Bright from a piece of satin silver card. So I'm going to do that on there. I'm also going to cut the light strings, cables, whatever you want to call them, from that. I'm going to do a couple of those from there because I don't quite know how many lights I want on there yet. I've got 2 light bulb dies that come with the magazine, and I found some strips of very holographic silver card that I think I'm going to use to cut some of the light bulbs from. It's just wide enough to take that little bulb. So I'm going to cut some out of that, and I'm also going to cut some of the bulbs out of these different shades of blue mirri. So I'm going to cut those out, and we'll come back. These Merry and Brights that I had previously cut in different colours, I'm not going to throw those away. In fact, I'll probably cut a couple more out of the white, and then I'll stack them up and put them behind this one just to give it a little bit of dimension. So I'm going to go away and I'm going to do that. So I want to use, this is the back layer, and then I'm going to put this Merry, this one, and then the top. So there'll be 4 layers for this Merry and Bright. So I've got a lot of gluing to do. So one of the hacks that I have found myself on YouTube, I believe it was NB Cards. I think her name's Nicola, but I'll credit her and link her down below. So she uses a silicone mat. She puts some quick grab glue down. I'm going to pop some of this on. There's a good blob on there. And then using a silicone pastry brush, she cut down the bristles. So these bristles were quite long. She cut down the bristles so you get like a stiff stipple. And because this is silicone and this is silicone, the glue doesn't stick to any of it. So you can spread this out and stipple into it. Turn your sentiment over, stipple it onto the back of your sentiment, so you only get an even distribution of glue, you don't get too much. As you can see there is a light covering of glue on there, and then I'm going to put that down, and that will eliminate the spillage as much as it can out of the side. It's an economical way of getting glue onto the back of a sentiment, and the upside is this will wash completely off, and when this dries, the satisfaction of peeling dried glue out of those little bristles, yeah, it's like bubble wrap to me. So yeah, quite satisfying. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put all of these layers onto this in exactly the same way, and then we'll put it on the front of the card. This is now all stuck together, and as you can see there's 4 layers there, and I've put the darker layer on the bottom because it doesn't matter, you can't see it, so I've wasted nothing. So I'm going to pop that under something heavy so that it fixes quite nicely, and then we'll come back and assemble some of these lights just to see what they look like. I'm going to use the die to kind of work out where I want the sentiment. So I think in the middle, and then I'm going to put the light strings on each corner, I think. So opposing corners. So using the die is a good way of getting an idea of where I want those. So I'm going to stick these down. I can take this off now because it's done its job. I'll move this out of the way so I don't get any mess on my project. And I'm going to get these little lights. So I die cut a load in different colours, so I'm not going to use this many, but I can always save them for something else. But I would like to use quite a few. I quite like that. So let's get the sentiment, and I quite like that some of the lights are behind the sentiment. So I think I'm going to stick the lights down first, and then we'll put the sentiment on last. So this is a finished card. So a simple card using offcuts of cardstock for the lights and for the sentiment, and the backings came from offcuts from a 12x12 works pad. So thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed today's content, please give us a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. So I do enjoy making content for you, so if you'd like something specific, please let me know. And thank you for watching. Goodbye.